Assalamu alaikum grade 9s. Today we are doing section 7.3, which is dividing polynomials by monomials. Last class in 7.2 we did multiplying polynomials by monomials. So today we're doing the opposite. So working example number 1, we're going to divide a polynomial by a monomial using a model. Now, whenever it says model, right away you should think algebra tiles. Okay, that's the key word for algebra tiles. So the question says, find the quotient, which we know means divide them, of 6x squared minus x divided by 2x. So one thing you need to know is that whenever you have a division statement, how are you going to draw your algebra tile model? It's kind of like how we did it with multiplication, where we had one of the terms here, one of the terms here, and the answer here. But the problem with division is that it's the opposite of multiplication. Instead of giving you the two terms and you find the answer, they give you the answer on the inside and one of the terms, and you need to find the third term that's missing. Okay, so this top part right here, the 6x squared minus 8x, the top part of the division statement is always going to be drawn on the inside of the model. So that would be this part right here. And the bottom number or term, 2x, can either be drawn, so it's drawn on the outside. So that can be drawn on the top or the side. It doesn't matter which one you do. So that would be here or up here. Okay, so that's the first thing that you have to know. Now, we're going to solve this problem using our algebra tiles. So find the quotient of 6x squared minus 8x. I'm going to zoom out so I have more room to draw. And I'm going to start off with hopefully straight line to draw my grid. Okay, well, now that we have our grid, our first step is to draw the denominator on one of the outside parts. So like we said before, it can either be drawn on the side or at the top. You can choose which one you want. I'm going to actually draw it on the side for this one. So 2x, I'm going to draw it right here. So 2 positive x tiles is what we want. Now, once you've drawn the denominator, our next step is to draw in the numerator, which we said goes on the inside, which is this part right here. So we need to put that whole thing in this area, 6x squared minus 8x. But there's actually a certain way that you have to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually separate these two positive x tiles, because what you need to do when you're drawing these out is you actually have to split up these evenly between the two x tiles. So what do I mean by that? Well, we have 6 x squared tiles, okay, and 2 x tiles. So how do we split up the 6x squared tiles evenly? Well, 6 divided by 2, we can do 3 for each one. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw 3 x squared tiles for each of these 2x tiles right here. Okay, now our next term is 8 negative x tiles. So we have 8 x tiles that are negative. How do we split them up between the two x's? Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that means we can put 4 for each one. So I'm going to draw 4 negative x tiles on the top, and then 4 negative x tiles on the bottom. So now we set it up properly. We split this up evenly between the two x's, and they're all still within this middle area. Now our final step that we have to do is find what this top part was, or what the answer is to this division. Now all you have to do this is say, okay, I have an x squared tile here and an x here. What did x have to multiply with to get us x squared? Or the other way you can look at it is say, well, I'm just going to draw the shape from here to here. What shape does that make? Well, that would be another x tile. And it would have to be positive because positive x squared times positive x times positive x gave us a positive x squared. And you do the same thing as you go down here. So x times what gives me x squared? That is also a positive x. X times what gives me x squared? That's also a positive x. And if you guys take a look here, you can see that whatever it does to the top is still relevant for the bottom as well. Because we split it evenly, it works for both rows. Now, we did the x squared tiles. Now we have to figure out what goes on top of these x tiles right here. So think about it. X, positive x, right here, times something gave us a negative x. If you follow the shape, it's just something small like this. And the only real possible answer is that it is a -1 tile, because x times -1 gives us negative x. And that's the same thing for these other four as well. So our final answer for the question, which was find the quotient of 6x squared minus 8x divided by 2x, the answer to that would be what we have here at the top, which is 3 positive x tiles and 4 -1 tiles. So the answer would be 3x minus 4. And that's how you do division using algebra tiles. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to pause the video and try these two out on your own using algebra tiles to solve question A and question B. All right, for the first one, you should have gotten x plus 2 or 1x plus 2. As you can see for this one, the 3x, instead of putting it on the side like I did with the last example, I put it at the top to show you it doesn't matter which side you put it on, you will still get the right answer. So I got 1x and then 2 positive tiles. For part B, it just says, what is the division statement? So there's 2 possible answers here. We know that the inside has to go on the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4 x squared tiles. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 -6x tiles are in the middle. That is going to be divided by. Now, it doesn't, this is why there's 2 answers, because you can either choose to divide it by the side or by the top. Okay, so you can say 4x squared minus 6x divided by positive 2x equals 2x minus 3. Or, I'm going to write it over here, 4x squared minus 6x over 2x minus 3 would equal to 2x. But this one we're not really going to be using because we're not going to be learning binomial divided by binomial. We're going to focus on binomial or polynomial divided by monomial. Okay, so this is the preferred answer right here for that question, but they are technically both correct. All right, so our next example, it's the same question, but we're going to solve it using a different method, which is just using regular old algebra. Again, this method is going to be quicker because we don't have to do any drawing of any algebra tiles. And there is still a method to do it, and it's really simple, and I'm going to show you guys how. So the question says, find the quotient of 6x squared minus 8x over 2x. So all you have to do to solve this is turn it into monomial divided by monomial 2 times, which is what you learned in 7.1. What I mean by that is that you're first going to do 6x squared divided by 2x. And then when you're done that, you're going to do -8x divided by 2x. So doing it step by step. So let's do the first one. 6x squared divided by 2x. In 7.1, you learned when you're doing monomial divided by monomial, you do the coefficients first. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then you divide the variables. X squared divided by x. When you're dividing two things with the same base, you subtract their exponents. So 2 minus 1 is just 1. So it would just be 3x. So that's the first one. The second one is negative 8x. Notice how I brought in the negative with the term. Always include it. It will make your life a lot easier. So negative 8x over 2x. Again, we're going to divide the coefficients first. So negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And then x divided by x, we subtract out the exponents. 1 minus 1 is 0. These actually cancel out. So there's actually no variable here. So our final answer are these two numbers. All we have to do is put them together, which is just 3x minus 4. And if you scroll back or go back to the first question that we did, we had the same question and we got the same answer as we did with Algebra Tiles. So let's try another one. Here we have a little bit of a different question. 3x squared plus 6x over 3x. So again, we're going to divide the first two, and then we're going to divide the second two. So 3x squared over 3x. 3 divided by 3 is 1, which we don't even actually have to write. We can just leave it as nothing. And then x squared divided by x is just x, because when you divide two things with the same base, you subtract their exponents. So 2 minus 1 is 1, so x to the power of 1, which is just x. That's where the x comes from. So I'm just going to put this a little bit smaller so we understand why that happened. And then we do the second group of terms, which is 6x divided by 3x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X divided by x, they cancel each other out. So our final answer is 1x plus 2. It's positive, so it will be plus. Or just x plus 2. And that's our final answer for that. So now I want you guys to pause the video and try out these two examples, A and B, and I'm going to come back with the answers. Okay, so for the first one, what you should have done first is 3y squared divided by 3y. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Y squared divided by y is y. So we got 1y, or just y if you want. And then for the second one, we have 12xy divided by 3y. So notice how every term is being divided by the denominator. Okay, you have to divide every term in the binomial with the monomial. Just like with multiplication, we had to multiply every term in the polynomial by the monomial. Same thing with division. So I kept the positive here to show you why it's going to be plus at the end. So 12 divided by 3 is positive 4. X has nothing to cancel it out with. So there's no x on the bottom. So x kind of just stays. X divided by nothing is just x. You can only divide like terms. You cannot divide things that are not like terms. So this x would not cancel out this y, for example. But y divided by y, that cancels each other out. So there's no more y's left. So our final answer would be 1y plus 4x, or just y plus 4x. And for the second one, same thing. First term divided by the monomial, second term divided by the monomial. So you have, for the first one we got 0.9c. From the second one we got 1.2 because the c's cancel each other out. And then our final answer was 0.9c plus 1.2. So I'm going to get you guys to try one more time. Pause the video and see if you can do A and B on your own. Okay, so these are the answers you should have gotten for the two questions. You can pause and look through my process if you did not get these two answers. The last question that we have is a word problem. So it says we have a rectangular lawn. Okay, I'm going to just draw it out right away so we know what we're working with. It has a width of 3xm. Is this m another variable? No, it just means meters. So 3x is the dimension. So 3x meters right here. And then it says the area is 15x squared plus 45x m squared. Is the m squared another variable? No, it just means meters squared, which is the unit for area. So please don't get confused with these m's right here. They're there to confuse you. Please do not get confused by them. So it says you wish to put up a fence around the lawn. What is an expression to represent the perimeter? Let's remind ourselves on the side here. Perimeter means the distance around the object. So that means length plus width plus width. We have the widths because it's a rectangle. The width of one side is the width of the other, but we don't have the lengths. So how do we get them? Well, the only other piece of information they gave us was the area. So we actually have to use the area to find the length. Now, we know that area is equal to length times width. Can we solve for length? Yeah, length would be equal to the area divided by the width. So we're going to plug that in. Our area is 15x squared plus 45x, and our width was 3x. So we can now solve using our method the length of the field. So we're going to do this first. 15x squared divided by 3x. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X squared divided by x is x. And then 45x divided by 3x. 45 divided by 3 is positive 15. X divided by x is nothing. It cancels out. So this is our length right here. Now that we have our length, we can actually find our perimeter because our length is 5x plus 15, which is the same on both sides because it's a rectangle. And we know our perimeter is length plus width plus width. The other way you can do it is perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And we learned how to do both of these methods because with this method, you can just use monomial times binomial. And with this one, you're just combining like terms with the first one. So let's say you do the first method, 5x plus 15 plus 5x plus 15 plus 3x plus 3x. Combine your like terms. So all my x's first. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus another 3 is 16 x's. And then 15 plus 15 is 30. So our perimeter is 16x plus 30. If you wanted to use the other method, 2 times 5x plus 15 plus 2 times 3x. You can use what we've learned in 7.1 and 7.2 to answer this. So 2 times 5x is 10x. You distribute out the 2. 2 times 15 is 30. And then 2 times 3x is 6x. And then you combine your like terms. 10x plus 6x is 16x. And then the 30 is by itself. Both ways you get the same answer. So the perimeter is equal to 16x plus 30. And that's how you solve a multi-step word problem using division, addition, and even multiplication if you wanted to. This is your homework or your textbook practice for 7.3 in your textbook, page 275 to 277, questions 1 to 14, 26, and 27. So section 7.3 wraps up chapter 7 for us. We are done our chapter, and that's it. So multiplying and dividing polynomials, monomials, that is all of chapter 7. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys for the next chapter, inshallah.